to thank everyone for jumping on. You have probably seen most of my communications over the last month or so regarding Green Key Global, and I'm sure you're all somewhat familiar with what Green Key is all about and what we're planning to doing here. But Aileigh will give us an overview of the program and what we need to do to achieve a level 1 certification, which is the initial target for these 10 hotels in 2024. And just to give you a little bit of a background to why we are doing it as a company and some of the benefits of doing so, it's, as everyone probably know, it's a hot topic in the industry, and we were looking at quite a few different programs 2 or 3 months back, just to find what program would work the best for us. As you know, there are quite a few different eco programs available out there, but with us having a pretty diverse portfolio, we wanted to make sure that it worked for every hotel, whether you are a full service, select service, branded, or independent. And that's why we decided to partner with Green Key on this initiative. And it's a pretty important initiative, and it's so many different benefits to it. For starters, it's going to make us more competitive in winning RFPs, obviously driving occupancy with that. And at the same time, it will help us improve our bottom line. And on this call, we have pretty much only operations folks, engineers, director of operations, and hotel managers and GMs, since it will be more on the operations side of the hotel at first, as we are going through the process of getting certified, but then something that the sales and marketing and the PR teams will be able to leverage once we have those certifications. And then big picture, it will help us grow as a company. It will help our development team use it in sales pitches when they're having conversations with ownership groups, and really just when selling Pyramid as a management company. So you guys are the 10 hotels that are piloting this program for us. So I will hand it over to Aileigh, and you can take it from there.
Great, thank you so much. So yeah, today we're going to go over Green Key. I'll give you guys all an overview and kind of walkthrough of the program, how to use it, and then some of the additional tools that we have available. And then we also, as a team, are here to provide white glove service. So if you need support, if you're looking to promote certification once you've gotten your certification, we're here for you every step of the way as well. And then at the end of my presentation, we will have a question session. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. So Green Key Global has been around for almost 30 years now. We started in 1994, and it was a program created by hoteliers for hoteliers. So one thing that makes us really unique is that we were designed for the hotel industry specifically, so that our programs, our assessment, and our processes and practices are all tailored for the industry specifically. Today, we're the leading sustainable certification program for hotel and event spaces in North America. So Green Key Global helps not only with your carbon footprint and making a better impact on the planet, but being certified through Green Key also helps you save money on things like your energy bill, your water bill. It reduces food waste, and it also helps increase occupancy, because today more than ever, travelers are looking to book sustainably, and having that sustainable certification gives guests assurance that your property is sustainable and is actually practicing what you're talking about and what you're saying that you're doing in sustainability. So it really gives that validity to your sustainable claims. So some fun stats, but we actually have a whole lot more that I'd be happy to share with you after this call. Are 71% of people want to travel more sustainably. 81% of people say that sustainable travel is important to them. 70% of people are more likely to choose a sustainable accommodation over one that's not sustainable. And 57% of people would feel better staying in accommodation with sustainable certification to back up the claims. So on top of that, Green Key Global also helps with stuff like brand commitments, such as what you guys are doing right now, corporate sustainability targets. There's also a global account to move towards certification. It's no longer enough just to say that you're sustainable. People now require documentation and validity to show these claims are valid. And as you know, there's just a global climate agenda, and the hotel industry is now becoming one of those forefront industries that's tackling it head on and trying to make a positive impact on the planet so that tourism can be a more sustainable industry overall. And then also there's the OTA and BTA influence. So all of our properties that are certified through Green Key Global are sent to OTAs. We have a list of listing partners that we work with that's constantly expanding, and you don't have to do the work. We automatically send our list on a regular basis so that every hotel that's certified through us is now listed on those online travel agents. And we also have some help when answering those RFP questions that were mentioned earlier, so that you can now show that you are certified when asked during RFP process. So here are some of those listing agents, but like I said, this list is constantly expanding. So we work with Expedia, we work with Cvent, Google Travel, Booking.com, and all of those major listing agents. And this list is constantly expanding. So we send these OTAs our list of certified properties, and that way you don't have to go through that song and dance of letting them know that you're certified in sustainability and going through all that paperwork. We'll do that all for you. So once you're certified, you can sit back and your sustainability status is already updated. So previously, we were aligned since 1994 with 7 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, we do have some resources for this on our website if you're interested in learning more. These goals focus on sustainability as a whole, so more than just the environment. Sustainability talks about food waste, gender inequality, quality education, water, earth, partnerships for the goals, a whole array of things that make up sustainability. And we are now aligned with all 17 of these sustainable development goals. We do have resources on our website to talk about all of them and how they relate to tourism, in particular hotels. But furthermore, once you've gotten certified through Green Key Global, you can also say that you are aligned with all 17 of them, because going through our assessment and meeting our requirements, you have then taken into account all 17 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is something that should definitely be talked about, especially when asked about especially when somebody is asking about your sustainability initiatives, because these are known across all industries, and especially businesses that are looking to book business travel are very interested in learning about what you're doing for sustainability, and these goals are very important and widely known. Like I said, we do have a whole page on our website that goes over all of these resources, and all of our assessment questions do have alignment with these goals. So how the process works. So our assessment has about 215 questions. Some of them are mandatory, which I will send after this call a list of what these mandatory questions are. And these mandatory questions mean that you must answer that question in order to get that first level of certification at the very least. That's not to say that you'll only get a 1 key rating, depending on what else you answer. You could get anywhere from 1 to 5 keys, 5 keys being the highest level attainable. So the assessment goes over energy conservation, water conservation, solid waste management, hazardous waste management, indoor air quality, community outreach, building infrastructure, land use, and environmental management. We also go over now ESG, which is environmental social governance, and CSR, which is corporate social responsibility, with a focus on regenerative tourism. So all of these are asked throughout the assessment. Things we'll talk about, like, what do you do for waste management? Do you have any charity partners and stuff like that. But there's also tips throughout. So during the assessment, there's a little help icon during a lot of the questions, and that help icon will help you find where you can find that information, or if you, for example, a charity partner and you're looking to partner with somebody to help boost your points in that section, there's some resources for that as well. And most of our mandatory questions also have templates associated with them, which you'll also be able to access before taking the assessment. On the members area, you'll see the templates that could help you fill out those questions if you don't already have them, like the sustainability policy, for example. So the assessment is split up into these key performance areas. I like to call these the categories because they really help split up the assessment. So it's corporate environmental management, housekeeping, food and beverage operations, conference and meeting facilities, and engineering. So with limited service hotels in mind and smaller hotels, we know that not everybody has food and beverage operations or fully servicing one at least, as well as conference and meeting facilities. So these, you're able to opt out of these two sections, and it will actually balance out your score. So you won't be docked against those points for the questions that you don't answer. It'll just assess you against all the other questions. So I don't remember offhand how many, but let's just say there's 20 questions in those sections. Then instead of 215 questions, you're only being analyzed against 95. So it's also recommended that somebody from each of these categories answers them. This isn't a requirement, but it does help since it's hard for one person to know all of the answers for every section. So if you have somebody from housekeeping, for example, they could take on the housekeeping questions or at least review what the answers were, same as engineering, and so on and so forth. As I mentioned, our program is on a 1 to 5 key rating. So 5 keys is the highest level achievable, but every level should be celebrated because even getting that 1 key status means that you've met the requirements and you are in alignment with our assessment, and you are certified at 1 key. So of course, it's good to constantly try to find ways to improve your sustainability, but every single level is something that should be celebrated, and it means that you're on the journey towards sustainability. And when you get the assessment, you will get some tips on how to move up to the next level. So let's just say you took the assessment and you're starting at level 3, but you really want to get like a level 4, then you actually see what you can do to get to that next key rating. So the process is once you register online and you've paid your invoice, you now have access to the members dashboard. And this members dashboard has everything that you need all in one place, and it's members exclusive. So it includes some tools that you can only get as a Green Key member. This is also where you take the assessment. So the assessment is what we went over before, all those different areas of assessment that are aligned with the 17 United Nations Development Goals. And once you go through the assessment, you'll see it has a whole bunch of help options all throughout. And once you're done, it'll actually tell you what you're missing. So for example, if you've done the assessment and you forgot to include a certain document that's required, it'll actually flag it to you before moving on. So then you know what you need to go back in and fix. You'll also then get a preliminary score. So this preliminary score will tell you what score you're sitting at. And if you're happy with that, you can move on to the next step. Or if you want to try to get, let's say, a higher rating, or there's some low-hanging fruit, like it says, you could change your lighting to LED lighting to get more points, and you know that that's a reasonable thing that you could do in the short term, then you can go in, make that change, and redo the assessment to get that better score. You don't need to do that though. You can move right on to the next step if you're happy with what you got, and just, you know, use that scorecard as reference for the future to see kind of where you're at and what you can do in the future to move forward. So once you're ready, you can move on to the audit process. So this audit process is really to help you and to help validate what you got in the assessment. A lot of people see the word audit and they get scared, but really it's not scary at all. The auditors have never actually lowered anybody's points, but we actually have seen people get a higher rating after getting audited. And this is because they might have forgotten to answer something in the assessment, or they didn't realize that something that they're doing is actually benefiting their sustainability score. So the audit, once you've done your assessment, you've gotten your scorecard and you're ready to move on, in the same section in the members area, you'll click request audit. And within 90 days, an audit facilitator will be in touch with you and they'll schedule a time and date that works for you. There's two options. There's virtual and in person. We do recommend virtual as it's more cost effective and there is no carbon footprint associated with it. They'll do a Zoom call or Skype or whatever video conference platform works best for you. And then they'll do a property walkthrough and they'll go through your documentation and make sure that everything is good. And if they're missing anything, they'll also flag it with you in advance so that you can have it all sorted before your audit. So once the audit is done, within 10 business days, you'll get your official eco rating certification. This is typically the same as what you got in your assessment, or like I said, we have seen a couple cases where it's gotten improved since then. So with your certification, you get your official certificate, your official key rating from 1 to 5 keys, and you also get a performance report. This is a more in-depth version of that scorecard that you got before. So it will tell you why you got the rating that you got, what you could do to improve, and it's a great little summary to have for when you do your assessment next. You can kind of see what you did before, and you can use that as kind of a guideline for moving forward. So from there, we have a whole bunch of marketing materials. We have some digital branding. We have promotional opportunities. And it's very, very important to talk about your sustainability status because a lot of guests don't know that you're certified in sustainability if you don't tell them, but then they want to get involved and they want to hear about it. And it makes them not only book that hotel, but book it again or recommend it to other people because they want to feel like they're involved in this sustainability journey. So we help as much as we can with your marketing, and we're always here to provide more support if you're looking for that. So when you get your certification, there's some personalized materials that we have. So we have a digital toolkit that's actually being released next week, and that includes website copy, social media copy, as well as some templates that you can use on your platforms. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. There's also a certificate that you get, and it's a personalized certificate with your property name, address, and all of that. And then we also do some digital promotional opportunities. Like we will, if you have a sustainability initiative that you want to share, we'll share that on our end. We also have written and video case study opportunities. As well, on brand level, we do some brand case studies. Furthermore, on a brand level, we can also work with a brand to tailor the assessment to any brand internal green programming. And there's also 100% enrollment opportunities for brands that have 100% of their properties certified. So some recent developments. Our process is a little bit more rigorous now, and this is just keeping up pace with sustainability. And so that includes a mandatory audit every 3 years. So every 3 years, the audit must be redone in order to maintain sustainability certification status. Our experience for the user is a lot more intuitive now. Our website was just relaunched in the new year, and it's a lot more easy to access everything that you need, including resources, including anything on the members area. It's just a lot easier to use, and we're using it also to promote hotels more to guests. So we also have a guest-facing site on our landing page on our site as well, which you can use in your own marketing efforts to help talk about what it means to be certified. Our assessment now is also improved. Like I mentioned, we went from 7 to all 17 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Another exciting new feature is our vendor program. So we have a vetted vendor program, and all the vendors sign a mandatory code of conduct. So they're already been assessed by us. And if they're one of our green vendors, then you can know that they're already assessed in sustainability, and they can help boost your sustainability. So you can use this as kind of a directory to find suppliers or services that you might need. For example, we have some vendors that help with lighting solutions. Like I mentioned earlier, if you could be improving your lighting to LED, we have this company that we work with called Light & Co. that will go in and they'll assess the property's lighting and find ways to make it A, more sustainable, and B, more cost efficient. And then we're also building out a shop that's going to be available in the next coming months. So you'll get see what your initial investment is versus what you'll be getting back. So it's a really great tool. Is my internet still working? Can I get it?
Lost you there for about 5 or 10 seconds, but you're back now.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were about to say minutes. All right.
No.
So I was just saying some new things that are coming up this year include a payback calculator, which you can do like general sustainability projects to try to see like when you'd see payback, how much money you get in versus, or sorry, put out versus get in from it, and see if it's a good project now or if there's any recommended projects that you could be doing instead. So it's a great way to kind of see all of these main sustainability projects and what it looks like for your property. We're also building out more webinars and education. So we're working with industry experts and scientists to provide sustainable education for our members. We're also in the process of upgrading our meetings program. So in this year, you'll be seeing an upgraded meetings program that's a little bit more developed than it is right now, and find ways to have it separate so that there's conference centers and stuff like that can be certified that are outside of the hotel realm. We're also working with a data partner that will be able to benchmark different things. So for example, if you're a small hotel and you want to see what hotels of your size are generally getting in sustainability and what their ROI is, typically you can see these. Now they're all white labeled, so you won't see the hotels that you're competing with specifically, but you'll be able to see a generalization as well as in your region or even within a brand. Next, there's carbon accounting tools. So this is really great to kind of see what your footprint is as a property. We're also talking about making ways to make each guest stay calculated so that you can see what a general guest stay's carbon footprint is. And then that's something that you can then tell them on checkout and show them maybe what carbon was saved through their stay through your initiatives that you're doing in sustainability. There's also a brand new program called the Carbon Neutral Event Certification Program. So this program allows you to certify specific events as carbon neutral. So if you have an event space, you can work with event planners that make events at your space to make their events carbon neutral. So there's a specific calculator for that. And then they'll buy offsets to offset the remainder of the emissions of the event. And furthermore, we're also working towards accreditation this year. So right now we're currently recognized, and that's the highest level that any eco program has achieved, but we're working towards accreditation. So as I mentioned before, our audit process makes it a lot more rigorous and provides more validity to both customers, guests, as well as businesses that are looking to have people stay at your hotel, make events at your hotel, and investments. There's low cost. So our program is one of the more affordable eco rating programs available, and we try to keep it that way so that it's accessible to all hotels and we can meet you where you're at. It's also a very easy to use program. It can be a little bit lengthy with 215 questions, but we try to make it as easy to use as possible with tools, templates, tips, and customized support through our customer service representatives. It's also constantly being updated, and we are currently recognized by GSTC and working towards accreditation. All right. So I see we have one question. So actually, never mind. It just says thanks. So Anu is going to hop on and moderate any questions that we have, and we'll go from there.
We have a raised hand. Yeah.
All right.
You can go ahead and ask your question.
You're on mute, Mark.
Hi, good afternoon. Mark from the Boston Harbor. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much for putting this together. I think it's a great plan, and I look forward to doing great things here at the Boston Harbor. I think it's really important for our environment. My question is with the calculator. I didn't really understand the part where to get that. Can you clarify where I can retrieve the calculator that calculates?
Yeah. Yeah, so that calculator is going to be available as soon as it's launched, and there'll be some communication surrounding it. It's going to be available in the members area. So it's not an additional tool, it's part of your benefits as a member. So when you sign up, there's a members area which includes where your assessment is, where you can get your certificate, toolkit, and stuff like that, and it'll be in the members area as well.
Another
Under
question
tools.
I have. Thank you for that. Another question I have, because I started this assessment, I think the day after I received the information. And one of the things that I noticed there, a lot of these sections, they've asked you for documentations, and a lot of documentations we don't have because we just didn't have the SOP for every process that we did in the hotel. So is that the recommendation, to do an SOP and everything we do and download it in order to be certified from 1 to 5?
So it really does depend. You don't need an SOP for every single operation. That would be very time consuming, but depending on which question you're referring to, it will require documentation. There is a lot of templates that we have to help with that. But for example, if it's part of your training process, but you don't necessarily have it in writing, you can write like a Word doc or something like that, just kind of explaining how it's involved in your training. So like a little 1-paragraph write-up, and then submit that. You don't need to do like a whole SOP for every procedure that exists at your hotel. But if you have, if you know specifically a question that requires documentation, you can ask me, and then I can like let you know how you can find that or how you can create that. Definitely depends on which question in specific you're referring to, but
Yes, I think one of the questions they asked is about what we do for housekeeping to bring awareness about sustainability, such as recycles. So we do have recycle bin in the guest room, and also when we retrieve the um, the recycled items, we actually allocate them and then place them into the compactor bag in the compactor. But that's not something that we put in writing. So when I did the assessment, it actually asks you for the documentation of the process.
so in that case, I would just exactly what you said to me, but write it up in a little paragraph and then submit that as the documentation, and then the auditor will be able to read that, and if they have any questions from there, they'll ask you.
Okay, that's simple enough. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Aileigh, I think Anu just unmuted everyone, so it's easier to jump in if they have questions.
Sounds good. I do see, Mark, as well, you asked if there was a cost for the audit. So yes, the audit is $500 if you do virtually, or it's $2,500 for in person. This is to offset the carbon that's associated with it, as well as the cost of travel and accommodations for the auditor. But typically it's an additional 500, and that's only every 3 years that you need to get audited. So upon the first year, and then the 3 years after that, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to do it virtually as well, because definitely, flying airplane and then take a taxi or Uber to the hotel is definitely increase the footprint. So having it virtually definitely will help a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. And it's also just more time efficient as well. It's about 2 hours less. So it's all around a great solution. But it's definitely something that we thought would be very important, especially considering, you know, the name of the game is sustainability. So why not make our audits as sustainable as possible as well? So yeah. And so everybody is now able to speak. So if you have any questions, feel free to hop on. I think everybody has speaking access now.
If there are no questions, I can go ahead and read out some FAQs that we usually get from members. So one of the questions that we get often from members is, if I have misplaced my login information, how do I access the system?
Yeah, so once you're a member, then you will have a username and password that you use to get to that members area, which has all of the resources that are member exclusive, like those calculators that are coming, like the toolkit. But if you lose the login, what do? So you can click, oh, I forgot my username or password. But if you don't have the email that's associated with it, let's just say you're brand new to the property or you switched emails or something like that, then the other way to go about it is to reach out to us. So you can email either our general email or contact form, or if you've been in touch with one of us specifically, you can ask us and we'll send you your login information.
Thanks, Aileigh. Another question is also, what employees need to be involved in completing the online self-assessment?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, it's recommended to split up the categories based on somebody from each department. So have somebody from housekeeping answer housekeeping. If you have food and beverage, have somebody from food and beverage to answer those. But ultimately, it can be done by just one person, whether it's the general manager or the director of engineering or somebody whose role is specific to sustainability. So it's really as many or as little as makes sense for you, but it is often the best practice to have somebody from each category answer those questions to make sure that they get the best information possible.
Then Aileigh, is everyone gonna have to go in there and build out their own profiles? I did submit the onboarding template for all the hotels with the addresses, zip codes, websites, all their GDS codes and all that as well. I think that will be the beginning of building the profiles, but there's still something that they're gonna have to do at their end, right?
Yeah, so what happens when we onboard a group is everybody will get a general like username and password, but it's system generated. And the password is like a bunch of numbers that no one's going to remember. So whatever email that you had given us for them is associated with that email. So they can go in and say forgot password, or we can send out their current username and password. Or the third option is if you know what you want to make your username and password, you can email it to us and we'll switch it in the account. Because right now it's going to be, let's just say I'm looking at Alinda Mitchell. So let's just say it was for her. It would be whatever email you gave for that property. And then the username would be linda.mitchell and then a bunch of random numbers. So yeah, we can connect with everybody and get their username and password a bit more personalized and easier to remember.
Got it. So when they do get access, the first step would be to start filling out the complete profile for the resort or for the hotel, right? And then the next step after that would be to start looking at the self-evaluation, right?
Yep, that's exactly it. And there's no rush to start if you want to kind of poke around and look, because there's some resources that might actually be helpful in starting that assessment. So I recommend just kind of taking a look, especially at the members tools. There's some templates there and stuff like that. But as soon as you get logged on, you could get started with the assessment, but you can also take a second, look at our helpful videos. So we have some walkthrough videos as well. on how to go through that assessment. And then we also have some of those templates. So you're ready as soon as you get logged on to take the assessment, or you can kind of take a look at what's on there first.
Got it. And then when hotels start doing that, and if they have questions, I obviously see Rebecca's contact information on the screen right now, but what would be the best, or who should the hotels or myself reach out to with questions as we're going through the process? Is that a generic customer service line to you directly, Rebecca directly?
Yeah, so either or. So you can message Rebecca, you could message me, which I'll be sending an email after this. So everybody will have my email as well. Or there's info@greenkeyglobal.com, or we have a member service coordinator as well, who I will link his email I'll link his email in my email, and his name is Tyler, and he would be more than happy to answer any questions as well. We're pretty open, so whoever you end up emailing will be all happy to help.
Any other questions? Or anything in the chat box? Nope.
No, just thanks.
All right, so you'll prepare a follow-up email after the call with all the information, the next steps, and then we'll take it from there. I guess before we jump off, Brian, was there anything that you would like to add for the group as well? Maybe he stepped away.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can, yeah.
Oh, no, hey, sorry, took me a minute to unmute myself. No, nothing to add here other than a big thanks to Klaus, a big thanks to the team at Green Key Global, and obviously a big thanks to everybody who has embarked on this journey. We are convinced, as I think everybody probably understands from this, that this is going to be a significant differentiator in our business moving forward. We appreciate the partnership with Green Key, and nothing further there. I just appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. All right. I think Aileigh froze again. So with that, I will say thank you for dialing in, and please be on the lookout for a follow-up email from Aileigh. And we'll get started. Thanks, everyone.
Rose.
Thanks, class. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.